The guest episode today is brought to you by the Round Rock Express. Jeff, what's going on Round Rock?
Well, right now, Round Rock is in Albuquerque, where ERAs go to die. Although they've done okay. The bullpen got away from the bullpen in Thursday's game, but the club is coming back home. They're coming back home next week, as is the case with the minor leagues. Tuesday, May 7th, the Las Vegas Aviators, that's the A's affiliate, they're in town. It's Education Day, so it's a day game at noon. But it's also Taco Tuesday, which is every Tuesday. Wednesday the 8th, night game, $1 hot dogs. The 9th, Thursday, Bark in the Park. Love to see the dogs. It's also Thursday, where you get $3 12-ounce domestic cans or $6 24-ounce domestic drafts, which right up my alley. Friday the 10th, all things pink night. Gotta love it. The 11th, Saturday, Star Wars night. And then on the 12th, Kids Day. And then the homestand actually continues into the next week. So it's going to be a nice long stay for them. Could see some Max Scherzer there next week. Anyway, as always, go to milb.com/round-rock for more information.
All right, guys, and joining us right now on the Round Rock Express hotline, it's Texas Rangers left-handed pitcher Jacob Latz. Jake, what's going on, bud?
Not much. Just arrived in Kansas City. Just out here now, getting ready for a weekend series against the Royals, and yeah, enjoying it.
So what time do you get to the ballpark? For the people watching and listening, it's just after 11 a.m. on Friday. So what time are you going to head to the ballpark?
Yeah, so first bus is usually anywhere between 1 and 2:30. I'll catch that one and get my day going there. I know that there's a staff bus before that some guys might try to get on and whatnot, but it kind of varies from guy to guy. But for the most part, rookies and then first year guys, second year guys usually get on that first bus and get their day rolling. I know on days today where the series first starts, we'll have a little extra stuff to do in terms of meetings and scouting reports and stuff. So it's nice to get there. And personally, I like to lift the first day of a series, so I'll try to get there even a little bit earlier and knock that out so I have enough time, to get my throwing and recovery in before that game actually starts, because
yeah,
got ready for that. So
is it a heavy lift? I mean, what you don't want to kill yourself here, but
right. Yeah, no, that varies too. Like I said, the first day of a series, I'll have one of my more main lifts, if you want to call it that. So I'll kind of get after it a little bit, but it's always going to be more heavier on the lower body side of things. And then I try to do three lifts within a week span, sometimes 4. But if it's 4, it's like jumping and something explosive where I'm not getting taxed. I'm more trying to get myself just as ready as I can for that game. Usually a day game, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so that one main lift will be a true lift, a heavier lift, and then the other lifts will be more just auxiliary stuff, maintenance, arm care, explosive stuff, but it kind of varies. They do a really good job. I worked with Wade Lamont in AAA for the last couple of years, and Logan even before that. So now having them both up here is a really good plus.
Yeah, and you're not throwing around like 100-pound weights. I mean, baseball players don't have to lift heavy because they have so many little damn muscles in your shoulder. And
yeah,
we had Meister on a couple of weeks ago. Just that shoulder is so screwy, and you just don't want to strain it. You just maintenance.
Right. Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, I've adjusted my programs a lot in the past couple of years. I do personally like more of a true lift now, even going a little heavier, and then just making sure I take care of my stretching mobility. They have a lot of outlets that here at this level, obviously, if you want to tap into more like the yoga side of things or anything really. I mean, so I do like lifting, but then making sure that I do the other little things like you mentioned, taking care of the smaller muscles around the shoulder with arm care exercises, but then also For me, it's mobility based, like stretching. If I can do that every single day, I feel like the lifting side of things I can get after a little bit more.
All right, all right. So we're a month into the season. You made the opening day roster for the first time in your career. Um, it seems like you've been with the team longer. I know you've been with the organization for a while. What has this first month meant to you?
Yeah, it really has felt more of like my first real taste of the big leagues. I know I had it a little bit in 21 and last year. Last year was special, just being part of the run. But this year I felt like I've actually been able to get my feet underneath me. Obviously, built up a little bit of trust here with the pitching staff, and that's been really nice to get going. And it feels like I'm establishing myself here and trying to really attack how I would a normal season, and I have in years past. So, yeah, I mean, still getting used to the bullpen is still on the newer sides for me, but having a good group down there with a lot of experience helps ease that process. Um, and I think coming in with shorter stints allows you to just be on the attack mode, and so it kind of simplifies things for me, my game plan and whatnot. But yeah, I mentioned before, there's a lot of resources up here. I think we do a good job of making those things easier with the veteran leadership in the clubhouse, and in the bullpen as well. A lot of resources that can help you just manage the day-to-day tasks. And for me, I've always approached things on a one day at a time, so that's kind of where I'm at. Even good or bad outing, I try to just move on very quickly and then get ready for the next day.
Yeah, it's not like when everybody in the major leagues who's a pitcher at some point in their life was a starting pitcher. It's not like you are 8 years old and you're already designated as a closer or whatever. You're the best pitchers pitch. And when they talk to you about changing roles, how hard has it been? I mean, it's different because you could pitch every day. I mean, it's not like you're going to pitch every 5 days.
Yeah. It's a lot different. You go from just being the most routine oriented week in a starting role to, anything goes. You can be ready at any point in the game. It is interesting for me because I didn't really feel like I was fit for the bullpen. I really didn't. I just, I didn't. I was also someone who was very cautious in how I warmed up and how I played catch before the outing and all that type of stuff. So to be able to answer at on a whim of, hey, get the phone call and it's, let's go get ready. And then you're expected to be ready within a couple minutes. I was like, I don't know how I would handle that. Like, I'm sure I could do it a few times, but over the course of however many games, I don't know. It would I feel like it would go backwards, but it's been the complete opposite experience for me. It really has. I've learned that I'm capable of doing it. I actually feel better throwing more often.
That's what I think.
Yeah, sometimes not. Command wise, it helps a lot. Like when you're in there regularly, I'm able to recreate the experience that I felt the last game and the prior game. I felt like as a starter, it was just different experiences every single time I went out there. From a negative standpoint for me, I was trying to figure out a lot of things mechanically in the past couple of years in the minors, and so for me to try to recreate those moments throughout the outing where I felt like I was finally grasping things, whether it was the third, fourth, or fifth inning, I couldn't recreate that same feeling the next time I was out there. So I felt like I was starting from square one every single time I was throwing, and it kind of put me behind the 8 ball, honestly. And so moving on to the bullpen, it flushed that whole entire mindset. It allowed me to reset and again, like I've said it a few times, but just being more aggressive with everything. I took so many other outlier thoughts out, and it was me versus the hitter. And with that, a lot of good things came, and then I realized that I do bounce back very well. I didn't think that was going to be the case either, and so I've gotten pretty addicted to it, and I really, really enjoy the process of being in the bullpen. I like having impact on more games, and being ready every single day. I've learned to love it. So
Cool. Yeah. No. Your appearance yesterday. It's never a good thing when
yeah,
Matt Listero heads to the mound.
right.
But I mean, you were the guy they called, and I saw you throw a few, maybe get loose in the bullpen, but then you had to come in and finish warming up.
That was different
right
than
in front of
normal.
everybody.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many if you had to do that last season at AAA, but that seems like a new experience.
Yeah. I mean, it was new. I did fortunately have a very, very similar experience last year. We were in Oklahoma City, and we actually had three guys go, but Kent started the game, and then Cole came in, and they were kind of both doing multiple innings there. I think Kent went three. Cole was supposed to go 3 or 4, and he came out for his fourth inning, I think, and same thing. He either had the leadoff guy get on, or it was like right after his warm up pitches, something wasn't right. So the training staff came out, and it was like he was cramping up, and so they took the cautious approach, took him out, and Borg called down and said, "Let's you're in the game." And so it wasn't like get hot. It was just here we go, you're in. And at that point, that was a complete first for me. So.
Yeah.
And I did take my time a little bit doing it, but it was one of those things. It really is true. The adrenaline rush that you get being in an actual game, knowing that you're about to pitch. I don't know. It allows you to just be ready. And so I found out that I could do it. So coming in yesterday, I was like, all right, well, I've already kind of done this once, so I know I'll be fine. And I'm just going to focus on hitting Jonah's glove. I pitched yesterday, so they've been a little bit more adamant on me about kind of saving my bullets a little bit. I do like to throw off the mound before the game and whatnot a lot, so that refresher is kind of like, okay, I have my foundation underneath me. I don't need to be as strict about how I attack these things before the game, and so all those things came together, and it was like, all right, I'm ready. I could do this, and so just threw a couple warm up pitches, and the game went on. So hopefully it wasn't too much of a delay. That was the thought in the back of my mind was like, all right, I don't want it to be a dragging test. You're just watching me just throw meaningless pitches to home plate here, but yeah.
No, I thought you got ready pretty quick, and
did well too.
We always, I guess, as writers, maybe as players too, we're always like, oh, he has forever to warm up. But guys don't take, to your point, the adrenaline. Guys come in and they're ready to go. It's not like a 30-pitch bullpen to get ready.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pretty quick usually. So I think that
I gotta imagine you don't want to put it off too long. It's like I'm getting rolling. If I'm feeling it, let's go. I mean, why waste these pitches? Let's get rolling if I feel good.
Yeah, definitely.
So you were with the team, and you joined the team in September. You spent the whole World Series run with the team, even though you were never on the active roster. What was that like? You get a ring. What have you done with your ring? And then, but what was that month like? Just being on hand.
Yeah, so the ring is it's in its box still. I'll have it open from time to time so that it's on the rotation mode with the lights showing and everything. But no, I just kept it up in my room for now. Hopefully, down the road I'll have some type of designated room with memorabilia and stuff like that. But that would be the plan for that. Last year it was special. It really was. I had a lot of ups and downs. I felt really good about my season as a whole coming into the season. And then, September being called up, it took a lot longer than I had hoped to finally get back up to that level. And then once I did, where we were as a team at the time was really cool to take in. The fact that we were pushing for a playoff spot. We had control the division for basically the entire year. So being finally there on the active roster was a really cool moment of time of like, all right, yeah, it took a little bit longer, but we're also in win mode here. So that's the time I would want to be a Texas Ranger anyways. So I was, ready for that. And obviously I pitched in lower leverage situations, but that was fine. It was cool to kind of get my feet underneath me. And then once we went into the playoffs, CY had kind of kept the group of myself, Grant Anderson, Matt Bush, and Cody kind of, all within reach of being possibly on the active roster. So my mind was always in it. But, obviously it didn't happen. And then I was kind of there just absorbing everything and seeing how these guys went about their business. They had a really good, like, camaraderie already going, at that point of the season. So I was kind of just on the outside looking in and seeing how these guys gelled. And it was just like everything you kind of hear about growing up of what a championship team looks like, and that's exactly what it was inside that clubhouse. Every it didn't matter position player or pitcher, everyone was kind of all as one, and that was the message Bochy gave us in spring training was as one, and it just wasn't fake, it was everyone really pulled for each other. They enjoyed being there at the field. And it showed on the field too. Everyone played loose and was themselves. So I thought it was just an amazing experience to take in firsthand, being in the dugout with that type of atmosphere and how they elevated their game, but they also stayed within themselves. So I felt like it was a good experience for me to take that all in. And obviously once we got the last out in Phoenix, it was just pure, joy. So
game on.
yeah, it's hard to really describe, but it was just, I was so happy to be a part of it, and actually just be there in the clubhouse doing all the things, and started to build up a little bit more relationship with the guys and carry that into this year. So
yeah, well, I mean, you definitely earned their trust. I mean, you're pitching in
leverage situations.
Yeah, leverage situations, coming in tight games, and Bruce Bochy said it the other night. We trust them. So good for you, and continued success. It's been a long road that we're going to get into here with John, because he's going to ask you about your college career.
All the fun stuff. No, and what I remember was when we were doing our roster predictions during spring training. Yeah, Jeff was on you right away. Latz is going to make this team.
That's right.
He was like, Latz is going to. I was like, all right. And we were watching you and doing that. So, and last year you would talk about him a lot too. This is a guy I watch. Mm-hmm. So anyway, all right. So we get more personal here with you. You grew up in Lamont, Illinois. Is that a suburb of Chicago?
It is, yeah. Southwest, probably 30 minutes.
My wife is from around Peoria, Illinois. Okay. That's where my wife's from. So I've been up to Illinois many times over the last 21 years. You went to Lamont High School. Now, did you play any other sports in high school or just baseball?
Yeah, I played golf my freshman year, and then I played basketball my freshman, sophomore, a little bit of junior year, but that was it. So
baseball was your calling?
Baseball was my calling. I kind of knew going into high school that was what I wanted to do. So.
Okay, so we want to talk about your college career, because you ended up, what I say, you got drafted out of high school, so you were pretty ranked. I mean, you were ranked pretty well coming out of high school. 11th round by Toronto coming out of high school. You went to college. Now, everything I saw was Kent State, but you didn't go to Kent State originally. Where'd you go originally?
Yeah, I went to Louisiana State originally, LSU. So, yeah, we got recruited. I committed my junior year, going into my junior year, so that fall, with basically at the same time as Michael Papirski, who was the high school catcher at the time with me, and I grew up playing. We started a travel ball team together, his dad and my dad, so it was really special at that time.
Okay, so what now? Were there any other schools in the running with LSU, or did you? That's where you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, the only other visit I went on was Notre Dame, and I did that early on. I did that after my sophomore year. And then a lot of schools started kind of reaching out to me around the same time. LSU was the first one that really caught my eye, and so they saw me after a tournament, travel ball tournament I did in Georgia, and so I would say a week or two after, I went down and did a camp for them, a college camp, and so just threw in front of the coaches, did type of kind of like a live batting practice situation, and then they kind of showed me the entire campus and facilities and whatnot, and I knew that they were very interested at that point. They didn't offer anything, but within a week, I got the call from Maneri saying we'd love to have you down there. And so I thought about it for a couple of days, and it really was I don't know if there's going to be too many places that could do more than what they offer at this point. And I was taken back by how much I actually really enjoyed that entire area, more so than what my preconceptions were going into it. So I just kind of committed right on the spot there, and I didn't really bother kind of going elsewhere.
I mean, it's like a tremendous place to play college baseball. Alex Box Stadium, and all the history they have, and the following that LSU sports has. It's pretty remarkable.
You're older than Smith, right? Were you and Josh Smith?
Josh Smith was 2 years after me, so he was a freshman when I was a junior, but I was already transferred at that time. But I did get to know him briefly on his official visit. We were kind of all together as one group for that, so I do remember Josh before I ended up meeting again here.
Okay, now you were drafted though out of Kent State, so you transferred out of LSU. So what's the story there? What happened? You ended up going to Kent State and you fifth round. I mean, you went much higher, fifth round with the Rangers. But what's that story?
For a guy who never pitched his last year in college.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that story.
That's why we're here.
How much time you got?
I got a lot. So my first 2 years at LSU were good, besides the actual baseball part, because I just couldn't get on the field. It seemed right away where I started feeling elbow pain. I probably was down there I did summer school before I arrived in campus, and that was all really good. But going into the fall season, when we started having our fall practices, it was probably my first bullpen of the year, and I just felt pain in my elbow. So I told them, I had never really felt anything in my arm in my career prior to that. So told them about it, and immediately did the whole MRI X-ray routine, and it was labeled as a stress reaction. So the step before an actual fracture into the elbow. I was kind of surprised because, I mean, how do you really fracture your bone just throwing a baseball? But it made sense. I mean, I threw a lot of curveballs in high school, and that was kind of my pitch that I leaned on. So I gripped that one a little bit tighter and started thinking maybe that was it, and kind of just did the whole process of rest and recovery, and then build up on a throwing program, and try to get ready. And that lasted all the way through fall practice, heading into the season. And then I was kind of getting ready to be one of the starters my freshman year, going into the season, and the pain just kind of came back as it did originally. And so I shut it down again probably a week before the season. And that whole process kind of continued throughout that entire year, freshman year. So it was every time I wanted to get back to the mound after resting it, the pain would come right back. And each time we would get an MRI, and it would show just probably a little bit more swelling, a little bit more, they called it edema, which is a fancy word for swelling. But so basically my freshman year, and then going into one whole calendar year, so that fall of freshman year into sophomore year, I maxed out the amount of MRIs that I could get. So got to the point where it was all right, we can't even scan it anymore. You just got to tell us if it's good enough to throw or not. And so sophomore year came around, didn't go to summer ball or anything, just kind of took the summer at home, tried to regroup. It is what it is. It was a lost year. All right, let's attack it sophomore year. Same thing. Got ready for fall practice. Was in line. We were doing our purple gold World Series. I was ready to be, the Saturday guy going into the season, and the last start before, we were ready to shut down and go back into the spring season. I felt the same pain in my elbow, and it was definitely worse this time. And so we're out of range with the MRI schedule. I was able to get one more, and they're like, okay, there's a true fracture line, and we did this entire thing last year, so the only step or process attack thing that we could do here was to put a screw in it. So I ended up having to get surgery in November my sophomore year there, get a screw into the fracture line of the elbow there on the outside. So you got your like UCL on the inside, and this was all like running on the outside of my elbow. So got the screw put in, and then I think the timeline was 4 months. So December, January, February, March. It was I was getting ready to come back mid-season of my sophomore year, and I made my first collegiate start there. It was 2 innings. I'm pretty sure it was in May. But it was against McNeese State, and Grant Anderson and Aiden at the time were there on the roster and ready. And so it was kind of funny. We were sharing stories last year and didn't realize he was a part of that team and whatnot. But he remembered actually me pitching against them, which was really cool. So basically, I kind of just was used as like a 2-inning guy that sophomore year because I didn't really have enough time to build fully up and make a true impact. We were getting ready for SEC tournament play, and the rosters kind of have to be set for that too. So I think I had eight total innings that year, that sophomore year. And unfortunately, I still had pain in the elbow after that surgery. It was pretty much the same exact pain. So at that time, I was pretty stuck. I was kind of in a rut. I was definitely just a little down, just not really sure what I should do to kind of get rid of this, because it just kind of, at that point, it seemed never ending, and it wasn't something that was like something crazy. It was just a regular, type of injury, but it just would not go away, and it affected everything. So after my sophomore year, I pitched in the super regional. It didn't go well, and so Maneri called me into the office after the season. Was just more so like trying to instill some confidence in me that, like, hey, I know it didn't go that well. You had a long journey coming back, but we're really excited for your junior year and all that stuff. And so I was thankful that he said that, but then I was also like, hey, I still kind of feel the pain in my elbow, and because they wanted to send me to Alaska to do the summer ball there.
Okay.
And I was like, I really don't think it's a good idea. Like, I still have pain in the elbow, and I kind of, like, I know you've heard this however many times at this point, but like, we got to figure this out. And he was just like immediately kind of taken back and started basically just say, like, I think you should probably just get over the injury in a sense.
Oh man.
It was just more so like, let's see if it's more mental related. And, he started laying out kind of what a placebo effect was.
Yeah.
And, I kind of knew where he was heading with the conversation, but basically after that, I was just very point blank and honest with him. I was like, I don't know if this is the right fit for me here. Honestly, I was like, I agree with what you're saying, and I definitely think that this whole path has been an interesting one, but I gotta probably just get a change of scenery here. I know that it's not mental, and I know that there's something still going on. So basically, our we decided to just part ways there, and there really was no bad blood at that point. It just kind of fell apart. The relationship just didn't gel at that point, and so started looking elsewhere and got a restart at Kent State, where I had known the head coach there, Jeff Duncan, who was a coach at Purdue and kind of recruited me out of high school because he had gone to my high school, so I knew about him. And I was also really interested in trying to get a waiver to play Division I from Division I to Division I.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that without having to sit out a year. So my options were either go to junior college or try to go to a Division I college that has had experience, submitting a waiver to get an exemption for an athlete to play that year. And Kent State had one, I think it was 2 cases already, and I believe one of them was baseball. And so with the combination of knowing Jeff Duncan already, and that, I was kind of like dead set on Kent State. It was, because it's in Ohio there in the MAC, it's nothing crazy, and it's kind of a random school from the outside looking in. And so that was kind of how I came to that conclusion there. And I ended up writing like a 20 plus page paper of like why I should be able to play. I spent more time and more effort on that than anything curricular in college, for sure. And so we had gone through step by steps that whole way, and I was pretty confident that we would be able to win this thing and get the opportunity to play. And so that entire time I trained and acted as if I was on the team. And again, I'm talking a week before the season started in that year, that junior year, Jeff Duncan pulled me aside and was like, "Hey, we finally heard back today from the NCAA, and unfortunately, they said you're not allowed to play." And I was like, "Hey, why can't they just let me know in January or something? Like you're gonna let me know right now? Like we're literally talking about the road trip and how we were gonna get ready, and so because they had given me checkpoints along the way, like, oh, that's good. Like, can you submit this? Like, can you give a little bit more? Can you give us some medical records on this?" And so I was like, okay. And I did it, and I had everything available for them. So it kind of just felt like they would just give me the opportunity to play. Like, I was like, why can't I literally haven't played college baseball. Can I please play? And so they're like, nope. So I ended up basically sitting out that year. And my mindset was I might be here for one more year, but also they did a really good job of setting up opportunities for me to face those guys on every Wednesday. So every single Wednesday I threw 5-6 innings in a sim. Wow. And Mike Burkbeck was the pitching coach there. He was phenomenal. He did a really good job of getting scouts to come out and see me. And I just, everything from that point on, really, when I stepped on campus at Kent, just started to find myself again. I started to remember why I loved pitching and, what made me a good pitcher. And obviously I started feeling good, which helped a lot too. And so a lot of good things came at once. The Rangers knew me a lot in high school. And so they were one of the teams that was out there pretty regularly. And leading up to the draft, that had talked to me a decent amount and were like, if the fit's right and the round and all that stuff is there, I could see us, taking you. And ultimately it did happen. There were 2 teams that were really, I guess, pushing for me at that time, and the Rangers were one of them. And I was ready. I'd lost so much time freshman, sophomore year, but I felt like I still ended up kind of getting better, and it showed up junior year there at Kent. Mm-hmm. And Yeah, so there's a little bit more I could go into the story. If you guys have other questions, I kind of babble a little bit, but
No, that's good. We're going to get, we want to hear all of it, and we'll get that because guys come on multiple times. We'll go a little further. So that's weird. You didn't really pitch a whole lot in college at all, but the Rangers saw you. They take you in the 5th round. How'd you find out you were drafted? I mean, you weren't in New York sitting there doing that thing.
no.
You get a call? Who calls you?
No, yeah, it was well, my agent called me at that time. We were all in Dallas. Actually, my whole entire family were in Dallas for that whole thing. My sisters were already there, but yeah, no, we were watching the draft on the Streamcast because after the first maybe 2 rounds,
Right.
It's just the first round that's on TV. I think it's 2 rounds that's on TV. You started watching online, and yeah, it was. My agent had called me. He actually had told me at that time, it was like, the 4th round is up. Here's the money. Would you do this if they're if they have the pick there and they're still like set in that decision? And I said absolutely. So 4th round like came around and we were watching the telecast and they ended up saying Ryan Deese in that spot, and so I was like, I was confused when that moment happened because the last I heard was that I was going to get picked right there, and then got another call from the agent saying like, hey, they last minute like changed. They both agreed on different things. They're still going to take you, but it's going to be in the 5th round. So I was like, okay. So then I waited one more round. We're just watching every name go by on the screen, and then 5th round. That's when it was announced. Like you did get to see the video, but you heard the name get called. Yeah. So it was still cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, couple more personal things before we get you out.
Wait. Your sisters were down here
in Dallas. Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah. So I have 3 sisters. One of them went to Texas A&M, and then she ended up getting a job in Dallas right after college. And then my other sister was, she went to school in Illinois, but they had a student teaching program in San Antonio. So she took that, and from that, the schools in around Texas that she was like trying to get an actual teaching job at, the one that she really wanted to go to was in Dallas. So she got that job there. So they were both already there. We were in San Antonio, Texas at the time living. We moved there in 2017. Oh. And then so we all kind of just joined up in Dallas to celebrate the draft. And then it ended up being the Rangers that drafted me. And now we're all there.
Cool.
So yeah, it's been great.
You live locally, right?
I do live locally now. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So all right.
Okay. So now your teacher's sister, what grade does she teach?
So she was teaching 6th grade for a couple of years, and then she was doing kind of like the special needs department at that school as well. And then she recently had a baby and hasn't gone back to work since then.
Okay.
Uncle Jake.
I've got a 26-year-old daughter who is a kindergarten teacher, and so she teaches in Richardson, but up here where we live in Dallas, North Dallas.
Job. It's so
it is. I tell you what, it is a tough job. So, what's your favorite kind of food? I mean, what if you go to, what is it? I mean, you're a steak guy, lobster guy, seafood. What do you do?
Yeah, for sure steak. For sure steak and sweet potato. That would be like my go-to meal every time. I could eat that five nights a week for sure.
Attaboy.
Yeah. Give me a ribeye. That would be my favorite cut.
Attaboy. Best cut of any.
I'm a strip guy.
Not me. Ribeye's best. Got the fat in it.
Yeah. They all have fat.
But that's good marble there.
Most fat. Yeah.
What about if you have to do fast food, what's your go-to fast food?
Yeah, see, I mean, a lot of people know this now about me. I get pretty strict on my diet, so I rarely eat fast food unless it's like something that really tailors toward me, like a burger or something like that I can do. I had a lot of gut issues growing up in before high school. Really, I carried through high school and then got worse in college. I think that was one of the bigger leading factors to the injuries at LSU. So I pretty much eat as clean as you can, I would say.
Oh man,
It gets a lot of looks in the clubhouse and whatnot, but it's fine. I don't really care.
is it like Crohn's disease or is it just?
It definitely has the symptoms of it. I didn't get ever truly tested positive for that. I had
Okay.
the biggest thing that they were telling me that was IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, which can get really tricky. So I ended up just finding out that the simpler I ate and the cleaner I ate, the better I felt. And so,
Yeah, no, we had when Jake Diekman pitched for the Rangers, he had
yep,
Crohn's disease, and he had this
yeah,
crazy surgery that basically, I mean, it changed his life. Though, I mean, he's still chucking it,
Yeah,
but
he's still chunking it and pitching, but
he couldn't keep his weight on. I mean, it was a really fascinating deal to go through, and
yeah.
uh,
I need clean living too. I've got
you
too much fat
know,
on my ass.
we don't have Crohn's disease though. That's for
The,
sure.
Now, what
the,
about what about home cooked? If you got a home cooked meal and it's your favorite, who cooks it? Are you married?
no, I'm not. I'm not. My mom still will still do that for me. And
What is it?
Man, that's a good question. If I had to go to like a go-to meal, that would, I mean, my mom can do a really good lasagna that is made with things that I can have. So like she'll do it from scratch, but she'll use whatever type of gluten-free like crust, or if you want to call it that. But no, she does that really well. I feel like that's a meal that I enjoy because it's not something I can get, just at a restaurant or whatever. I have
Yeah.
to like literally tell them exactly how to make it so that I can eat it properly. But it still tastes like normal lasagna, which is great. And so I enjoy
Cool.
like if I could have like a pizza or something like that, I would do that. Trust me. I
You kind
just
of do cauliflower crust and stuff like that. Is that what you
yeah,
try?
yeah,
I
exactly.
love cauliflower crust pizza. I mean,
They
that is,
actually made that for me for yesterday after the game, and it was phenomenal. So
All right.
uh,
Well, I mean, we've completely glossed over like your MLB debut, which was totally weird too. You
fine.
know, and
what happened?
it was during COVID,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
so well, it was the year. It was in 21. You pitched independent ball in 20 when baseball was shut down. I mean, the journey of Jake Latz.
Hey,
We'll have to have part two at some
oh my
point.
gosh, we've had so many guys on a couple times. We finally got you on. We see you in the clubhouse all the time.
Yeah.
We'll get you on here another time too to do it. I'm going to ask you one last question. I asked everybody. This is on the first episode. We always get it. It's what's something that nobody knows about Jake Latz. Like Chris Young came on. He said nobody knows he's a big true crime junkie. He likes to watch all the true crime documentaries. We got Davis Wenzel got his finger cut off when he was 5 years old. You got Jack Leiter hates peanut butter. That's a weird one. But like that. What is something nobody knows about Jake Latz?
Whew. Wow. Let's see. I mean, I got in. The first thing that comes to mind, I got in a pretty bad like snowboarding accident when I was younger. I got a. It's alright to say like it was a snowboarding accident. We were literally just sledding in the backyard of my house. We had a pretty good hill, but like we were snowboarding. We built up a really good ramp, and basically just my best friend at the time was kind of like man, he is just a troublemaker, really. Like he just would always instigate stuff, would want to fight you, all this type of stuff, blah, blah, blah. So he's sitting right after the ramp, and I'm getting ready to go down the hill, and he's like in the way, and I'm like, can you move out of the way? Like I'm ready to go, and he's like, I'll move, just go ahead. I was like, okay. So started going, and of course he never moved. So I get off the jump, and I start to lose my balance and fall forward. And basically, like he's like laying down in the snow, and his board is like still on his feet. So I'm falling forward, and I end up on the like edge of the snowboard, like the curved part. Basically, my face went straight into it, and I cut this whole lip open on down. lost 2 of my teeth there.
Oh,
But one of them was still like laying on the ground. It literally split open my lip like completely. Like it was just the 2 sides were just flapping
Oh my gosh.
right there. So, lost a lot of blood, and they ended up flushing one of my tooth down the sewer. Got one of them though. Luckily, brought that up and ended up having to get like 40 plus stitches into my lip there. And luckily, you can't really tell anymore. So I think the story is more so that the surgeon did a really good job there. But for a moment in time, I thought I was kind of ruined and that I would
Gotta
never
have that-
be the same.
Modeling career was over.
yeah, the modeling career wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
You really became dependent on baseball then to make it.
Oh yeah.
Jeez
Oh, yeah.
Louise. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, Jake, we really appreciate you coming on. I know you guys are busy. You're in Kansas City getting ready for the series tonight. Anything else you want to get him?
No, go get some clean lunch.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Oh, I will.
Clean lunch. We're not going to be out there this weekend, but we'll see you when you get back in town for sure. And when we get this out, are you on social media at all?
I'll do Instagram. Yeah, that's about it though.
All right,
Okay, I'll find you on there and I'll message you or something, let you know when it's out or whatever. If you want to send it out,
tag him. We'll tag him.
We'll tag him is what
Nice.
we'll
Gotta
do.
be social media savvy here.
You guys are up to
Jake
date.
Latz, guys. Jacob Latz, left-handed pitcher for the Texas Rangers.